Hi, my name's Daryl. So a while ago I had a check engine light on my RAV4 Prime, so I really needed a scanning tool. Now I got this tool, it's called the Blue Driver. It's kind of a generic tool, but it's really easy to use, and it did its job. I mean, it kind of told me, it was more of a generic code, but it told me what the problem was. The other thing I wanted to use the Blue Driver for was, I do a lot of towing, and on my RAV4 Prime, I don't get any sort of stats. I don't get anything about, how hard the engine's working. I don't get the RPM. I don't get the coolant temperature. I don't get the oil temperature. I don't get any of that data. So I know the RAV4 Prime's working hard, but I really don't know how hard it's working. Now, a company approached me, this KingBolen. They make this really cool tool, and this one is specific for Toyotas. Now, they actually wanted me to try the more generic version of the tool, but I really wanted to get some pretty specific Toyota data so that I could use it when I'm towing, because I really want to know kind of how hard the electric motors are working and if they're getting close to overheating. Now, I realize that it'll tell me. So if they are overheating, something's gonna come up. There's gonna be some sort of diagnostic trouble code or something like that to stop. So I know that, but I kind of want to know how hard it's working. So I said, yeah, go ahead and send me this, and I'll go ahead and try it out, and I'll give you my feedback. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So this is the little device that they give you. It's called SoloScan. I don't know if SoloScan means it's only for Toyotas. I think they actually make tools for a number of different manufacturers. They have a generic one that covers, kind of all vehicles, and then they have specific ones, and this one is specifically for a Toyota. Now, this tool only cost 99 bucks. It was about the same cost as the Blue Driver scanning tool, but I think it's going to give me some more information. Now, the tool is really easy to install. You basically just plug this into your OBD2 port, and I'll show that to you in a second. You'll also have to download the diag software from KingBolen on your iPhone. Once you install it, you basically have to activate the device. It's going to give you the serial number and the activation code on the instructions that you get. So once you've done that, you basically plug it in and launch the app, and then you're set to go. So let's first go ahead and plug it in, and then we'll launch the software. All right, so once you've installed the dongle, then it's just a matter of putting your car, turning the ignition on, or actually turning on your car. I want to show some live data as I'm using this, so I'm actually going to turn on the car. All right, so then we just have to launch the diag app on our iPhone or Android device, and that'll load up. Now, typically what will happen is once you've launched the software, you have to activate it. So it's just a matter of typing in the serial number and then typing in the code that they give you. So that's really simple. The first thing that you're probably going to want to do is just check that the OBD functions works as it should. Oh, the other thing is once you launch the software, the first time it's going to ask you to scan for the device. Don't connect to the Bluetooth device, the OBD device through Bluetooth just on your iPhone. Do it within the software. So we want to do OBD functions first. So we just want to check that just to make sure, that our smog is working, make sure that our emissions equipment is working as it should. So we'll click on the OBD functions. It's going to connect automatically, and then it loads, and then it's going to check everything out. Now, it does take a little bit of time. I think it'll take a little bit of time than like a really professional tool. But this takes the power of your iPhone and uses that as opposed to having to pay for a real expensive computer. But you can see it did the readiness test. It's been completed. 8 of the tests are ready. 3 of them aren't supported, and we don't have any sort of malfunction indicator light on, so that's off. So we're good to go. And so then we can go back and everything is working as it should. Now, this is what really separates this device. I did talk about the Blue Driver device a little bit. It did what it should, but it's kind of limited in the kinds of things that it can see. Whereas this app and this device, because it's, I think a Toyota specific app, I don't know about the generic one, but it sees so much more stuff. So let's go ahead and go into All Systems Diagnostics. From here, the first time you go into it, if you notice, I have my Toyota RAV4 Prime showing up right here. But if I click on VIN scan for the first time, it's going to scan your OBD port and your ECU for your vehicle identification number. And once it has that, it's kind of cool, it's like a little slot machine here. But then once it has that, then it automatically identifies the vehicle. So there's two vehicles, one's a Lexus and one's the Toyota RAV4 Prime. It's going to be the Toyota RAV4 Prime, so I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to confirm it. And now it's going to load up all the information, and it's going to actually scan your ECU for kind of everything that it supports. So it takes a little while to get started. This is where I was actually a little bit confused on this screen here, because you have to choose the device, that interface device that you're using. And I guess there's a couple of different ones here. The one for us is actually a 16-pin port for the OBD port. If you go to set area and you set it for North America, and you confirm that, then it actually automatically puts that 16 pin and it puts North America in there, so that makes it a little easier to identify. But you select that, and now it's gonna, once again, it's gonna scan the vehicle data for everything that it supports. Okay, and then from here, you can do a health report, a system scan. So a system scan just kind of goes through everything and identifies it. I'm not sure, I don't think you're supposed to actually do that initially. I don't think you actually have to do that. But probably one of the things that you want to do is just to make sure that there's nothing wrong with your vehicle, do a health report. So click on that. And now what it's going to do is it's going to go through all the different modules within your system and identify them and check to make sure that everything is working as it should. And just look at all the things that it goes through. Just really amazing, all the things that it can identify and all the things that it can monitor, all the things that it can actually test. We'll get into that in just a second. All right, so once that's completed, you can kind of go through here and look and to see if there's any fault codes on here. And you can actually see that there's a fault code under the navigation. There's one. But other than that, there's no fault codes. So if you want to clear a diagnostic trouble code, you can click on the clear diagnostic trouble code. I don't want to do that, but I want to look at and see what that fault is. So I'm going to click on fault report, and you can see for the navigation system, we actually have one diagnostic trouble code. So I'm going to click on that. And this is for the XM tuner, the Sirius XM tuner. Antenna is disconnected. Now, I'm not exactly sure if that is because there's something wrong with the antenna or if it's the fact that, you know, I just haven't subscribed to the service. So one thing that's really nice about the software is that if you are having problems with something, it can kind of identify what that trouble code means. And so if I click on kind of the help icon here, the question mark, it'll take me out to the web and it'll do a search for me to identify that. Okay, and so you can look at that and see how common that is. So that's really cool. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to test some specific modules and control them manually as opposed to switches. And what's nice about this is sometimes you don't know if there's something wrong with your switch or if your motor isn't working. And this kind of bypasses the switch and just activates it independently of the switch. So that's really cool. So let's go to system selection. And when we click on this, you can see that it does powertrain, chassis, and body kind of components. But let's look at everything that it can see. So let's go to all systems, and you can see, so we've got the engine control module, the hybrid control, the radar cruise control, the brake booster. Look at all the things that it can identify here. Just pretty amazing. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to manually control the ventilation in our seats, right? So I've got controls for that on the dash here, so I can turn on the ventilation, but we're going to do it manually with our iPhone. So let's go to air conditioning. And then what we want to do is we want to go to actuation test. and these are the things that I can activate. I want to turn on the front left seat blower. So I'm just going to turn that on manually, and let's see what happens. Confirm that, and I want to go here, and I want to turn that on. And now you'll hopefully be able to hear that. So hopefully you're hearing that, but yeah, my booty's getting ventilated. So yeah, I turned on that manually. So now let's turn it off. And now it turns off. So that is super cool. Let's do one more thing. Let's control the windows. You know, that's one of the problems I have with my Ford Mustang, my really old Ford Mustang, is my windows don't work. My power windows don't work. So is it the switch that's the problem? Is there a problem in the motor? Don't really know. So let's go back. And on this particular one, we want to test the seats. So we're going to go to the drive door motor, and then we're going to confirm that. And currently my window is down. So we're going to do an actuation test of that. And I'm going to do the power window, confirm, no monitoring. And we want to bring the window up. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on up. And look at that. Window turns, window came up. I don't know if you saw that or not, but you probably heard it. So now we're going to turn the window, put the window back down again. And there you go. So really great tool. I mean, that was pretty simplistic. I'm not a mechanic or mechanically really inclined, but the fact that you can test all of these different things within your Toyotas is really just amazing. Now, we're going to get into live data monitoring. So this is actually what I want to use it for, is I really want to do a towing test, and I want to see how hard my engine and my motors are working. So I am going to go into system selection, and I want to go into powertrain, and I want to go into the motor generator. So I'm interested in the motors, and within the motor generator module, I can look at some other things. Confirm that. And I want to do, instead of an actuation test, I want to read the data stream. So I'll click on read data stream. And then instead of, I don't want to actually have all of them automatically select, I want to manually select the things I want to look for. So I'll click on manually select. Now here you can just kind of scroll through all the different options, and you can select something or unselect it, which is cool. So there's a lot to really look at right here. But what I'm really interested in is I want to see the engine RPMs, and I want to know how hot the coolant is, and I want to know the status of the motors and how hot the motors are. So the electric motors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on search, and I'm going to type in engine, or just the portion of the engine, and I'm going to search for that. So I want to look at engine speed, and then I want to look at temps. And I want to look at the coolant temperature. I want to look at, and some of these I don't really know what they are, but I'm going to choose them just in case. I want to look at the reactor temperature. I want to look at the motor temperature. That's probably for motor 1 in the front. I want to look at the generator temperature, and I want to look at the rear motor temperature, and I think that pretty much covers it. So I'll click on confirm, and I'll click on confirm again. Okay, and now you kind of see kind of what's going on live. So let me go ahead and put it in hybrid mode, and we'll kind of start the engine up so you can see these data points changing. So you can see the engine speed going up, and you can see the coolant temperature will start to rise. I'm actually seeing the reactor temperature starting to rise, but the motors aren't running, so you're probably not going to see anything for the motors themselves. Let me take a little cruise around the block. Let me see what happens with the motors when I just have it in EV mode. So that'll be kind of fun. So I'm gonna put it in EV mode. And let's just take a little rock around the park here. Let's see what happens. So now I'm running on the motors. And I would imagine we should see that motor temperature starting to go up. Got a lot of torque just with those motors. Yep, oh, motor's going up, motor temperature is going up. So it looks like the reactor temperature is actually changing a little bit more than just the motor. So it's gonna be really interesting when I actually do take this for a towing test, how these different temperatures are impacted. I'm probably gonna focus on doing the hybrid mode test because nobody's really gonna be towing in EV mode up a mountain because you're not gonna get very far. It's gonna be really interesting. You know, when I go on a long trip, I'm always in hybrid mode. I never use electric mode. I kind of save that. So it's gonna be interesting to see how those motors are impacted when I'm towing. So that's pretty much it for the video. Now KingBolen, they actually did want me to test the generic one. And so hopefully after they see this, there's gonna be enough interest for them to also have me check the more generic one just to see if I can get the same information or if I get a little bit of different information. I think I'm gonna actually do another video kind of comparing, you know, this app to the Blue Driver app just to see, you know, what the differences are, to see, you know, if it identifies that trouble code as well, and to compare, you know, the statistics or the things that the Blue Driver can display as opposed to what this KingBolen app can display. And finally, you know, I've done a couple of towing tests with my RAV4 Prime and my A-Liner camper. And so, yeah, I'm gonna do another towing test where I'm gonna basically attack a mountain without, you know, my A-Liner camper being towed, and look at the diagnostics and look at what the numbers read for the engine coolant and the motor temperatures. And then I'll do the same test with towing, going the same speed, just to see what those changes are and actually how hard the RAV4 Prime is working. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun, and I'll look forward to doing that, and hopefully you're gonna enjoy that as well. And this is Daryl. I hope you learned something from this, and I hope to see you in the next video again very soon.